What if the answer is you? Imagine that. What would you create if there were no limitations? Infinite potential. Can you see it? Your own inner vision. What, or rather who, is really blocking your view? This full moon in Cancer, it isn't either or, but both and more, provided we can feel into all with tenderness and compassion. Imagine that. I would just like to be allowed to imagine. I didn't recognise the words at first, the child that spoke them, or the painful fact they were aimed at me. I hadn't realised they were even coming from my mouth during the counselling session, let alone acknowledge, without today's reflection, that they would form the basis of a far deeper intention, initiating me to return a long-lost aspect of myself. Emotional awareness, supported by reoccurring dreams, intuitive insights into many visions, prophetic in nature from decades ago. Joyful heart expansion through the 528 people on my Facebook page, and the mention of this month's song, imagined by John Lennon, for the same numerical sound healing frequency held in the words shared. Appreciation of soul loss, aided by repetitive cycles of fear-based memories, highlighting a darker truth beneath them all, alongside a return of hidden, raw, creative certainty. Howling in the acknowledgement somewhere along the line I had lost sight of myself and potential. Power, Salka, undomesticated, my instinctive light. I can humbly admit now I have been quite successfully creating a life that facilitated the sensations of a suffering conceived for me. It has taken listening to the calling for and from a lost child that believed she had deserved to experience her life so far to understand I have been reliving the damage, causing more grief. To ignore and, despite what I may voice, not meet my needs. Basic ones at that: warmth, safety, security, love. Rather than face the reality of knowing she, I, we have pushed away any assistance alongside the essentials themselves to avoid what resided beneath them all. Not the separation, pain, abuse, trauma, be it my own, societal or intergenerational, that I can conveniently heal, shift or move past, but the necessity of love sat there patiently waiting to be accepted for who I am. Here, through many Kundalini rises, timeline shifts and funny turns, walking the middle road this week, I have physically embodied a resolution that could only occur in this remembrance on a cellular level, by bringing an integrity to every aspect that has caused my own amnesia, as I appreciate the innate differences between change and transformation. In my own ability to witness and observe, to hold space, be physically present, deliver my soul's potential, I have found myself walking the path I guide so many on. Something we are all being encouraged to feel into this week as the moon moves into her fullest. Held in the sign of Cancer, her home, many will find themselves also returning to a more sacred space within, implementing any vision for what it is, embodiment of perception, provided there is reflection, honest, authentic truth into any harsh condition in, our own included, with nurture and compassion. Known as the wolf moon, due to its and January's almost endless nature, leaving us calling for more, there is, however, a collective temptation to run from this increased sensitivity, not emotionally, but ironically, psychically. Despite being the very basic animalistic need required if we are to move forward as a species, as our own abilities and this intuitive wisdom amplifies over the next 12 months, so too with the accountability of self-awareness. If we are to adopt the greater potential to create different experiences, evolved rather than formed from previous traumas, often used to interpret any insights and subsequently reenact them. But of course, this is only possible with expanded consciousness. Beyond the mind, the journey, the ifs, buts, and even actions, to the heart, the vibration of divine love. Guided to invoke tenderness during what will be a time of sentimentality and nostalgia, we are encouraged to observe emotional instability for the melancholy that it can bring, not only in the perception of others, but all we initiate and as such ourselves. To have patience over endurance, congruence over perfectionism, by leaning instead into any heightened vulnerability. Here we may find a more in-depth connection or community-based pack mentality emerging as we remember and carry forward the more harmonized wisdom of our ancestors through the choices we now make. Found on the Cancer-Capricorn axis, the celestial parents of the sky, it is only by listening to our desires, no matter how small or innocent, any practical goal-based steps will become achievable, returning us to the inner wild creative expression of inherent emotional intelligence in the agency we are all being invited to physically receive. Only here can we take the much needed psychic steps into the seers we are all becoming through the expansion beyond what we know, our stories included, as we dare to dream the dreams we dream. Like the mighty Apachin of the East, eagle and condor flying wingtip to wingtip with the greatest of spirits, the infinite potential of life itself. Creation, formed on the sight of our imagination, viewed in the eyes of the heart, deciphered by the language of our own divinity. Now is the time to review old patterns and cycles for the transformation they bring, not the shifts, but completion, integration, through introspection and acceptance, if we are to reveal the emotional truths that will release the grief and frustration felt by so many. With Uranus in Taurus aligning to both the Sun and Moon, any security or excitement we seek can be found in simple acts of kindness, both to ourselves and each other, as we collectively begin to respond and value the importance of basic human needs, rather than bypass the physical body or feminine, for the vessel of possibility it has always been. Conjunct Mars, currently retrograde in Cancer, alongside Neptune in Pisces, it is less either or and more both and, well, more, provided we can acknowledge the priorities that have or perhaps need to shift. This old or winter moon is an ideal time to examine any possible second chances, be they relationships or dreams and aspirations, supporting us to realize how relatable or beneficial they and the experiences they bring with them are to our current trajectory. The more confident we become in how we express our psyche, the more able we will find ourselves to complete the many, often karmic, sequences now rising to be finalized, for the very wisdom they provide, being how much and how we approach creation. By building upon the inner foundations of our own responsibility, any confusion, anger, and impulses can form a more constructive support system towards what we may have been avoiding. The truth of what we want. It is here 2025 will bring forth the greatest lessons as we shed the stories handed down to us, finding peace in the perceptions we may have of the world around us and as such our own inner reflections, as well as the many now collapsing illusions built to conceal this, especially those that have served us. Harmonizing with the North Node in Pisces as part of an 18-month cycle, moving the South Node into Virgo on the 11-1 portal. It is our enoughness or lack of that will ultimately open us up to the world we have all hoped and imagined, beyond any one side meaning separation or polarity. Through this individual awareness and renewed united actions, we will decide the outcome of our reality. As the greatest deception, our believed disempowerment, continues to be illuminated throughout the year. For now, however, this first full moon is a great opportunity to start as we mean to go on, by committing to a more emotional, mental, intellectual, and spiritual universal well-being. Discovering the inner motivations of our own emotive primal energy via more inventive expressions such as meditation, journaling, nature, creativity, and breathwork. Ensuring balance during the observation of any conditional restrictions we may have placed on our own aspirations, and ultimately returning to the root of who we are. Occurring on the 13th of January at 10:27 p.m. in the UK, placed in the third decan, linked to the Four of Cups in the Tarot, supported by the vibrational frequencies of Death, the Emperor, Hermit, Moon, Temperance, Hierophant, Wheel of Fortune, High Priestess, Chariot, Sun, Fool, and Magician overall. It is only in feeling our emotional intuition and recognizing where we are creating from that we achieve our fullest potential. By gently, lovingly stepping into the wisdom keepers and seers of the time to come. May we live beyond separation, be it people, circumstances, dualities, beliefs, timelines even, and live for the day. Let's all take a moment to imagine that. In deepest munay, I ask you now, what would you create? Take care. You know where I am. Kirsty.